What's happening, YouTube? Jonathan Pariente, the Education 10 here, coming at you guys with another video. Want to ask you guys to please continue to check and subscribe to my channel for more YouTube videos. So, Super Bowl 53 is in the books, and once again, for their sixth ring, the New England Patriots knock off the LA Rams 13-3. And well, a Super Bowl that everybody said was pretty much, how do I put this, one of the worst Super Bowls in NFL history. I could say this right now, guys. If you are a Saints fan, you feel very vindicated with the performance you saw. You clearly saw the Rams, who only won because of a pass interference that was never called. And then you see what happened to the Rams in one of the biggest games of their whole season. They go out on the national stage in Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta, and the Rams offense put up an utter dud. Jared Goff looked like he didn't know what the hell he was doing out there. He looked like a deer in the headlights. Todd Gurley was barely getting the football. And it just looked like a whole Rams offense that looked so completely out of sorts. Sometimes you wonder, why were the Rams in this Super Bowl in the first place? Could they have ever picked a better opponent for New England that could have matched up with them? Well, this had been the Saints, we'd be talking about a very different Super Bowl. It's very clear now this would have been a different Super Bowl had Drew Brees been in it and not Jared Goff. So let's dive into this game a little bit and kind of give you my take on it. So, New England won this game 13-3. In what was pretty much one of the lowest scoring, actually this was the lowest scoring Super Bowl so far in NFL history. Tom Brady would throw for 262 yards, completing 21 of 35 passes. Brady was intercepted on his very first throw of the game, and the Rams did nothing with it. The Patriots would early on miss a field goal, would then get a field goal, and that would be the score at halftime. It would be 3-0 at the half. The Rams would finally tie it about halfway in as Jared Goff and the Rams offense, well, whatever mustering offense they were able to do, Zeuerlein tied it with a field goal, made it 3-3. So now let's go to the fourth quarter, because that's really where everything kind of turned if you were a Patriots fan. Now, I mentioned Brady threw for 262. Jared Goff threw for 229 yards. Neither quarterback was sharp in this game. I don't care what anyone says. This was not a quarterback battle at all. This was a battle of defense, which I'll give credit to. The defenses were both exceptional, and the punting and the special teams punting unit was very good too. Johnny Hekker kicked actually the longest punt in Super Bowl history of 65 yards. So that tells you something there. But let's proceed on further to the game. New England would finally end up scoring their only touchdown. It would be late in the fourth quarter, about halfway in, Sony Michel with a 2-yard run, who would go on to rush for 94 yards in the game. Julian Edelman, who was named the Super Bowl MVP, had 10 catches for 141 yards. And New England went on to take down the Rams 13-3, capturing their sixth Super Bowl. Meanwhile, for the Rams, as I mentioned, Goff was held to 229 yards, threw one interception, and it was a very costly interception. This is the only time in the game when the Rams were actually driving, and he threw a terrible lob that Stephon Gilmore picked off just before the end zone with about 4 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. And that was, ladies and gentlemen, about the only good drive the Rams had all game. The Rams failed to get first downs early in the game. They only had 3 first downs in the first half. They eventually got about 8 or 9 in the second half, but by that point, it was just pretty much a back-and-forth game where the Rams offense couldn't get anything going. Not that New England's was any good either. Brady didn't look very sharp. But when it came down to it, Belichick's defense showed up when it had to, and the Rams just had no answer to crack Belichick's D. They had no offense. They had no answer to go down the field against Brady. You could basically say the Patriots were throwing this game on a platter for the Rams to have. And they didn't take it. And you know what? This is how it is. When you don't take advantage of opportunities against New England, this is what I said a week ago. If you don't take advantage against Brady when he makes a mistake, you're not going to win the game. And that's precisely what happened in Atlanta last night. So, New England fans can celebrate their 6th ring. Brady says he's coming back next year, so could he make this a lucky 7? Probably very possible. The Patriots really aren't going to probably change up too much of their team. Brady's sticking around. Sony Michel was only a rookie. Don't know if Gronk's staying, but you figure New England will have more than enough ways to find enough offense to, keep the ship going. Brady's already hinted he'll play 5 more years possibly until he's 45, so why couldn't he keep playing till then? He does not slow down an inch. But we'll see what happens. So this is the final result. New England wins 13-3. They capture Super Bowl 53. Tom Brady takes home his 6th ring. The Patriots, that was their 9th trip to the Super Bowl. Can you believe that? 9. How many teams can say that they've been there that many times? You really can't. The next Super Bowl the Patriots win, which if it is next year, they would tie the Steelers for 7 Super Bowl title wins throughout their team history. Now that'll be something insane. I mean, you could really go back in time with where this Patriot team began, and it's hard to believe really kind of where this Patriot team began from. Tom Brady was a late draft pick. Nobody knew who Brady was. Belichick bolts the Jets to go to New England after signing for a day. And the rest you can basically say is history. Bledsoe gets hurt against the Jets. In comes Tom Brady. And who would have known the greatest of all time would still be here. And here we are, almost 20 years later. Stunning turn of events. Really, really is. So now, as we head into the off-season now, and a lot of questions will surround the other teams now that are looking to rebound from this past season, you have to wonder, who will stop New England next year? Who will take home the title next year? Now, early betting odds are already favored that the Kansas City Chiefs are 6-1 favorites to win it next year. Now, do they have a chance to get there? I think they do. Patrick Mahomes already showed you what type of quarterback he could be in this league, and I think, if you're the Chiefs, if you can get a defense, they're going to get there. Because that's what did them in against New England. Their defense absolutely was dreadful, and you saw why it ranked 31st in the NFL. So if the Chiefs are to get there, they need a defense. There's no doubt about it. Are the Saints going to get back there? Oh, I think the Saints are mouthing and chomping at the bit to get back after how they felt they were screwed, and I think they were rightfully screwed in the NFC Championship game against the Rams. Because here's basically what happened. This is now the 2nd time in a big game, a national televised game, I might add, that the Rams put up an utter dud in offense. If this is how Jared Goff is in pressure situations like this, I worry about this guy as my quarterback down the road from now. He could be one of those great quarterbacks that was never able to win the big game. That's what he could go down as in history if this is another pattern of Jared Goff in big games. Sean McVay had no plan for Belichick. Goff had no plan for Belichick. The whole Rams offense did nothing. Todd Gurley was a complete no-show, one of the great running backs in the game. Todd Gurley did hardly factored into this game. They barely played him for that matter. So you have to wonder what the Rams will be looking at going into next season and how they will rebound from getting this close but not reaching the brass ring. Otherwise, this whole Super Bowl, was it anything special? No. The play by both teams was subpar. Halftime show, Maroon 5 was okay. I mean, then there was the whole debate raised, of Levine taking his shirt off, and here we go back to the wardrobe malfunction with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. And all of a sudden, everybody's saying, "Oh, when Levine takes his shirt off, that's fine, but when Janet Jackson had it happen to her and it was an accident, oh, it was frowned upon." So, a lot of revisiting old memories with that. Otherwise, Super Bowl commercials, were okay, some good, some bad. But otherwise, this was not really a memorable Super Bowl that you'll tell your kids about 20 years from now. What you could tell them is you got to see Tom Brady win his 6th ring. Right now, at this point, Brady just will keep adding more hardware to his trophy case. All right. But at this point, this was a Super Bowl really nobody cared to watch. They kind of already knew New England was going to win it again. Nobody in the entire NFL has a chance to even win as long as New England and Tom Brady are around. It seems like New England could just win it for the next 7 years and nobody will have a chance. But we'll see what happens. I'd like to see the Chiefs get a chance to get back at the Super Bowl. I think they really have a chance to win one. As do I think the Saints. As do I think maybe even the Rams if they restock their team a little bit. You kind of can see for the Rams. And again, I talked about this weeks ago. The Cooper Kupp injury really hurt this Rams team. It showed. Cooper Kupp is a go-to guy for Goff. And without him there, you saw how different the Rams' offense was. And you kind of saw how predictable they were. When you have Kupp in there, that offense isn't as predictable as it was last night. A lot of things you could take away from it. If you could, many of you could probably agree with me. Many of you can disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. But you saw how different the Rams' offense is without Cooper Kupp. There's no debating it. The Rams were not the same team after he went down. For the Rams, you better have Cooper Kupp healthy next year. And healthy enough to take you deep in the playoffs. If they get back to the Super Bowl again. We will see. The NFL offseason has begun. The NFL draft is a few months away. We're going to see if some of the other teams, like particularly I think teams like the Jets, teams like the Giants, teams like the Packers, teams that weren't in the playoffs this year, could we see a couple of them in the playoffs next year? Could we see a couple of these teams surprise us with making a couple of big moves? Well, whatever it is, this closes the chapter on the 2018-2019 NFL season. We look forward eventually to the 2019-2020 season next year. Jonathan Pariente, The Education 10, saying bye for now.